the simple truth is that those are the same issues that the president raised with President Zelensky in their call. The president spoke about lack of European support. He spoke about corruption. And he tasked me to go and to meet with the president of Ukraine and carry our concerns about those issues. And anyone that looks at the president's transcript will see that the president was raising issues that were appropriate, that were of genuine interest to the American people. And as more facts come out of this, as people take time to read the transcript of the president's call and reflect on these facts, I think they'll come to realize this is just more of the same of what we've seen from Democrats for the last 2.5 years. They literally spent 2.5 years pushing an impeachment of this administration, this president, on a theory of Russian collusion and obstruction. And when that didn't pan out, they briefly tried to talk about impeaching Justice Kavanaugh off the Supreme Court. And over the last 10 days, we're back to talking impeachment. I think the people of America are saying enough is enough. I mean, people of this country want us to focus on issues that matter most to them. These endless investigations should end in Washington, D.C. And Speaker Pelosi and the Democrats ought to be focusing on issues of security, of prosperity, infrastructure, the USMCA, lowering drug prices, and whatever they want to fight about in Washington, D.C., I promise you President Trump and I are going to keep fighting for the issues that matter most to the American people.
What was your biggest takeaway from today's meeting? What was your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is how proud the Hispanic American community is here in Arizona and in this country. And when you look at the growth and the prosperity that's happened since 2016 in the state of Arizona, and you understand the role that Hispanic Americans have played in that, it was a real cause for celebration today. And we're going to take this whole month, Hispanic Heritage Month, to talk about the incredible cultural contributions, community contributions, but economic contributions that Hispanic Americans make every day. My big message was, as we see an economy that's created 6.3 million new jobs, it's been Hispanic Americans, Hispanic small businesses.
All right, this is a moment that kind of perfectly encapsulates what the Trump administration is dealing with here, right? Mike Pence, the vice president, is in Scottsdale, Arizona. He's there during Hispanic Heritage Month. Clearly, this is an area that President Trump would like to expand for his voters coming into this election. And he's been asked these questions, Pence has, about this call that President Trump had with the Ukrainian president. Let's actually listen back in.
Well, let me say that I'm Vice President of the United States. And I was elected to this job along with President Trump for many reasons. One was to, excuse me, we were elected for many reasons. One was to rebuild our military. One was to revive our economy. Another was to see conservatives appointed to our courts. Another was to secure our borders. But one of the main reasons we were elected to Washington, D.C. was to drain the swamp. And I think the American people have a right to know if the Vice President of the United States or his family profited from his position as Vice President during the last administration. That's about looking backwards and understanding what really happened. I mean, the fact that my predecessor had a son who was paid $50,000 a month to be on a Ukrainian board at the time that Vice President Biden was leading the Obama administration's efforts in Ukraine, I think is worth looking into. And the president made it very clear that he believes our other nations around the world should look into it as well. I mean, the simple fact is that when you hold the second highest office in the land, it comes with unique responsibilities. Not just to be above impropriety, but to be above the appearance of impropriety. And clearly in this case, there are legitimate questions that ought to be asked. And we're going to continue to ask them, since the American people have a right to know whether or not the Vice President of the United States or his family profited from his position. I mean, you look at the video of Vice President Biden, And you see there was clearly a quid pro quo. He said if a prosecutor was not fired, who among other things was investigating the company his son sat on the board of, that he was going to withhold $1 billion. Contrast that with the transcript of the president's phone call with President Zelensky, where there was no quid pro quo, there was no pressure. And I think it's why most Americans want to get answers about what was going on. And to have Ukraine, particularly, as the president said, to get to the bottom of it. And I think that's what the American people would expect and anticipate. But this administration is going to continue to advance the policies and the agenda we were elected to advance. That includes draining the swamp, and that includes demanding that our allies operate honest government in an upright way as well.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Hey, thanks, guys. We're done.
Tactics that the administration
Thanks, guys.
is
We're
using
done.
to gain Hispanic voters.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Different from
Thank you.
2016.
Thank you.
Well, let me say, we're going to be in and out of Arizona a lot because we've got a winning message. Hispanic Americans here in Arizona are winning under the policies of President Trump and the policies that Senator Martha McSally has supported and Governor Ducey has advanced in the state. I mean, our economy is growing, our military is stronger than ever before. And let me also say that I think the values that this administration has stood for, of faith and family and the sanctity of life and freedom, those are all values that are synonymous with the Hispanic American community. So we're going to come here, we're going to talk about the progress that we've made for security, for prosperity, but we're also going to speak about the values that the Hispanic Americans cherish, that this president has championed, and I know we're going to bring home a great victory for Senator McSally and President Donald Trump in November 2020.
All right, thanks, guys. Thank you.
All right, Vice President Mike Pence, they're in Arizona for, I mean, this is a very pivotal, interesting moment in all of this. He is all in with President Trump on what the president has been saying, and as the president admitted that he asked the Ukrainian president for dirt on his political opponent, Joe Biden, also asking China, saying China should investigate. Pence is saying that the president on that phone call raised issues that were appropriate. So even as Pence's staff has tried to distance the vice president, give him a little bit of political cover, the reality for the vice president is that he is linked to the president and he is going all in there. He said the American people have the right to know whether the vice president or his family profited off of his position. Okay, well, look, we can tell you because we have fact-checked this extensively, as have many other outlets. And what is clear here, what is clear here is that what the president is alleging, that Vice President Joe Biden was doing something for the behest of his son Hunter Biden, does not bear out. Right? I want to talk about this now, this key moment with Chris Cillizza and Dana Bash, who are here with me. And, you know, this is one of those things where I think it kind of perfectly encapsulates what the Trump administration is dealing with, because a couple of the other questions that Pence got were about Hispanic voters in Arizona, right? Trump won Arizona. He wants to hang on to it. He's done a lot to offend Hispanic voters. That's a key constituency there in Arizona, but he's trying to hang on to it, and Pence is there as this emissary to help him do that. But that's not really what Pence is talking about. He's there in what appears to be some discomfort as I look at him, having watched him over the years.
I think he would probably rather be having a root canal.
That's about what it looked like.
Yeah. And I was running back up here to be with you, and maybe you can answer this question. My question for him, beyond the what did you think of it, is did you know? When you met with President Zelensky, did you carry the same message that we've heard the president make with the Ukrainian president? He wasn't asked that question, right?
He was not,
because
as far as I can tell.
Because that's a key question. It's one thing to say, okay, there's no there there.
Looking at Joe Biden.
It's another
right.
question to say, to ask, were you complicit in it?
Yeah.
Did you carry out these orders?
So it seemed to me he did that. I was listening, honestly, in the makeup room as I was coming in here. It seems to me that what he did is what Trump is trying to do, which is take all questions related to Ukraine and pivot to Biden. And the key here, to your point, Brianna, Yes, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, was on the board of a Ukrainian natural gas company. That is true. Everything else that Donald Trump has said about or alleged is false.
But
There's no
Pence,
connection of any sort in corruption. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Pence is, and I know, and you know, and we all know for having covered Pence for so long, that Pence is lying and that he knows that he is, because he says that the president was raising issues that were appropriate.
Yeah,
I
it's
do
just
not.
right.
I do not believe that Mike Pence believes the president, in his heart of hearts, or even just superficially believes that what the president was saying was appropriate.
It's hard to imagine a Governor Pence, a House Republican Pence, under any other circumstances, any other president, seeing this exact conversation would say those things that it's appropriate. But this is the cross that he bears. This is what he decided that he was going to jump in on when he said, Donald Trump, I will be your running mate.